What's good, my G's? It is I, your boy Stowe, Ignorant Gamers in the house, and of course, if you don't know by now, G stands for Gamerz. So, it's been a lot of information going on at E3, shout out to everybody who's done their conferences, shout out to everyone who's been newly subscribed to the channel due to the content over the days, and keeping us on our toes and keeping up with us and asking our questions and opinions on certain things. We really do appreciate that kind of stuff. So it's been a while since I've had a conversation about the crew. It's been a while since I've even mentioned the crew. I've been all about pretty much Drive Club as the PlayStation head of this channel. The crew, I like what they showed at E3 2013, and now they're back at 2014. We got a solid release date, ton of new information, more understanding about the game, and there was a couple of things that just kind of had put me off with Ubisoft as a whole. I still believe that Watch Dogs was a switch and bait, or a bait and switch. I'm gonna start calling Ubisoft Ubiswindle, and I'm still reserved about the crew. I still want it. And I think this E3 has kind of put things back on track for me. So before I even get into it, the developers, Ivory Tower, Ubisoft Reflections, when you dig deeper into these two, you realize that there's some pedigree there that you need to respect as a car driver fan. Whether it's arcade or sim, you almost have to respect these guys and what they're trying to do with this game. First off, Ivory Tower actually consists of people from Eden Games, and if you're unfamiliar with Eden Games, we're talking about V-Rally, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed, Test Drive Unlimited, the infamous Test Drive Unlimited. Even I think around 2006 when that game came out, as I stopped playing car games, even I know about Test Drive Unlimited. Also, Test Drive Unlimited 2, I believe, in like a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And then Reflection Games, who's also working on it. I mean, they're responsible for Destruction Derby series, Thunder Truck Rally, Driver, and of course Driver San Francisco, which I've gone back and played a little bit of that game, and it's just a wonderful game. Sorry that I didn't have more a feel for driving games at the time. I was still out of the loop. I didn't care. So back to this, the Ubisoft conference and singling out the crew. They had this time-lapse trailer of them driving from New York to LA. I think it was by way of, if I'm not mistaken, the Rockies. I think it was Vegas, San Fran. And it's supposed to be with the mid-tier cars, 2 to 2.5 hours. I've seen the guy say that you can actually do that trip in 45 minutes to an hour if you have the fastest car. Sorry to say the guy, but I believe his name was Julian and his friend was Andrew. Andrew's from Reflections and Julian's from Ivory. And, all that with no loading, as Aisha Tyler put it out there. Shout out to Girlwood. And that's pretty cool. So when's this game releasing? It's November 11th across Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. But there is a beta coming to PC July 23rd, so you can go sign up for that if you have a rig that's strong enough to get at it. Excuse me. But getting into the game, I kind of like the interviews that's been going on after E3, the panels and everything. And the guy said, "Listen, we're closing up the game. We're finishing up the game. We ain't have time to make a CGI trailer." And actually, just paraphrasing this guy, Julian was like, "I think people are tired of seeing CGIs and made up trailers," and he decided to go with the best asset available, which is what the end user will use, which is the gameplay. And I can really appreciate that. So they just did a time-lapse video of the gameplay. There's nothing wrong with that. Basically basically having that type of standpoint with your game, that type of confidence in the way your game looks and runs, that you showed up to E3 unprepared with just unprepared, as he said. I'm not making that up. He said it with their time-lapse video of the gameplay. I think that's cause for me to realign myself with this game, which makes it not easy for my pockets. Let me be honest with you. You know, you got Forza Horizon also coming out. You got, I think this is the timeline. End of September, Horizon 2. Then you know, basically 7 days later or 8 days later, you got Drive Club, which you know I'm getting regardless. And then November 11th, you have these guys, which makes sense for Need for Speed to take an absent. A bigger reason for Need for Speed to take an absent this year. So the game, I mean, from what he's saying, I'm back on point. They're saying it's like over 20 hours of single player stuff, and all the 20 hours of the single player stuff you can do cooperatively. So, you know, for you guys that like to play solo or play aligned with someone to a common goal, you know, you can do this, and that's actually pretty cool. And then there's like a whole nother 80 or 70 missions that are just for PvP type stuff. And then you have these challenges and the social aspect that goes with the challenges. Again, here we go with the social driving stuff. So here's why I said two names earlier. Reflection Studio working on their, you know, their driver game, and then their San Francisco game, and then Test Drive Unlimited through Eden Studios, who is buried under Ivory Tower Studios. There's a lot to be said there with that, because basically Test Drive Unlimited was doing the social stuff 8 years ago on the 360 and the PS3, and now with them being ahead of their time, here we are today, where this whole window of games is looking to be of driving games, whether it's sim, whether it's simcade, whether it's arcade. It's basically focused on this social aspect, and they borrowed an element. He talked about borrowing an element from Trials, which I finally played Trials for the first time, so I'm down with it, where if you got only 15 minutes to play the game because life happens, and we all know life happens, it's about to happen for me. You know, your friends and or you can create these little quick challenges, 30-second challenges, 40-second challenges, where you're just doing the uphill stuff or downhill stuff, and you're trying to take the fastest time through this time zone. Stuff that you've seen in other games, stuff that Need for Speed has been doing in Most Wanted and what's the other one? Rivals as of late, just to call out recent games. You know, this is the kind of thing that's going to happen going forward with this game that you can do, and it's going to be available in Drive Club, which is amazing, which means you can just get in, challenge your buddy, or create challenges for your buddy and send them out on the fly for people to do. Now, there's an app that's going to go with this, so with you being a busy gamer or a busy person and you don't have time to play these games, so when you do get a chance to asynchronously, you know, do these multiplayer challenges, you can just send it off from your app when you're on your way to work or something like that. So that's pretty cool. And you know, these guys, they're very conscious of all the games out there, of racing games. You know, some that's competing with them, and some that's of the past because they're fans of them. And you know, they talked about MSR and PGR kudo system that is in play here. You know, and that's a big thing. And for those who don't know what MSR is, that's the precursor to PGR. So you know, I challenge you to go YouTube that and holla at me afterwards. So you know, it's not about the size, although this game is an open world persistent game in the United States. I mean, this game is massive, and he says it's not about the size, it's actually about the variety of what you can do. And you know, with the variety of this game, I mean, there is a lot of things going on. You know, you have pretty much just the specs of it. It's like you got your full stock, you got your street, you got your dirt, you got your raid, you got performance, you got circuit. That's the variety in a nutshell. So you could be street racing and then end up on dirt roads, and then you end up, you know, trying to take down other vehicles. So that's where you got your raid performance at. Then you got your straight up circuit racing where the cars are basically not even street legal, to the tunes of like a Forza or something like that. How these cars handle, we still don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident with the pedigree that these guys bring to the table that it would be something that everyone can play. And he confirmed it. He said, we're not really arcade, we're not really sim, but we're more so, we are an RPG. And I've been avoiding RPG games, and this is in MMO games, and this is pretty much where the world is going. So I'm gonna have to either get down or lay down with this type of gameplay sooner or later. And I think open world games opens itself to a MMO or RPG standpoint. And with that said, I'm down. I'm down. I'm gonna be down, and it just looks good. And they talk about the final weeks of this game, how they've opened it up to just fans and hardcore and consumers. And he told the story, Julian told the story one time about they had this hardcore test drive, a limited player there, and he's driving around the game. He wants to see the world, he wants to explore, but what's evident in damn near every Ubisoft game, is all these every open world Ubisoft game is that all these icons are on the screen calling for your attention to do some stuff. So the guy was like, yo, is there a way to just remove this shit? Like, I don't want to deal with none of this stuff, I just want to drive. So Julian said, it was a very easy fix for them to do. They just went into the code, put something in there, and this guy spent 3 days just driving around the game, exploring the vistas. And yeah, that might be a 1% of people who may want that, but it's there. So they're taking feedback. That's basically what they're saying. Feedback, and not compromising the overall vision of what they're trying to deliver the game, and at the same time, have something for everyone. And going further with the feedback, he also said in another interview how some consumers or some of the people who are trying the game were saying like, hey, can we get a little bit more a visual damage there. And the problem with that is when you're dealing with certain aspects of licensing, there's only but so much damage a licensee will allow you to do. But at the same time, the vision of the game, just like with Drive Club, is not about that part. Yes, they have some in there, but it's about the fun and being immersed and getting you right back on the road. If the car is too damaged where you can't race, let's just say in Grid 2, which Grid 2 makes perfect sense to me, that's fine, but you don't want that in a game like this. And for what it's worth, I fully agree. Unless there's going to be certain modes where you have to maybe deliver a car, like in Midnight Club, and they did say something similar to it, where you got to take the car from point A to point B, and with minimal damage. So that makes sense to me that they can't really fold on it too much, but they do adhere to the community. And I think that's what it is. And basically they're just trying to make the game to be the only game that you need coming this season. And like I said earlier, that is a hard thing to deliver, and that's a real test of confidence, not cockiness. There's a difference. Confidence that they have in their game being an all-around game. And I think Greggy from IGN had made like a casual comment. He was like, whoa, let's not go there, let's not put that word on the table, because basically what they're saying with the PvP and the skill stuff across the 8 categories for the sync multiplayer, like it has some casual stuff in there, but this is what racers want to do, it's accessibility. So overall, regardless of my my scrutiny under Ubisoft, and I said this a while ago before Watch Dogs was delayed, I said we got to start watching these dudes a little closer, because on the low, they've got some little swindle shit going on, and I really picked up on that with Ghost Recon Future Soldier. But for some reason, all the publishers and the people who get paid to do this shit, chose not to say anything about it. So yeah, I wanted to know, what are your guys' impressions on the crew so far, and that's everything that I know right now that gives me confidence to at least put it back on my radar again, and as something that could drain my pockets. You know, I've said for quite a while now, like, you know, it's getting back to a point where I wish Midnight Club was announced, so at least I know it's coming. But I also wish Drive Club would have came when it was supposed to came, because Forza Horizon, the original one for the 360, was an amazing game. I just didn't want to get into it. My boy Ramon was all about it. He had his little things about it, which all gets addressed for Forza Horizon 2. Now for myself, I just want an open world game like Midnight Club, and Horizon 2 will probably fit the bill for that for a while. And of course, I love my arcade racing, baby. You can't get it twisted on that, you know. And Forza's, you know, locked to the X1, which I do have X1 in the crib. Drive Club is locked to the PS4, which I do have that in the crib, which I love my PS4. And then you got the Crew, which is the Swing. And I kind of almost wish that Horizon 2 was coming out next year as well instead of this year. But, you know, it's one of those things where now I'm back in the driving scene, and this is what I'm dealing with. Like, that could be 3 vehicle games in a matter of 2 months. It's gonna be it's gonna be tough, and that's not even to mention the other stuff that I'm not even talking about that is not driving related. So you know, yeah, talk to me, people. Let me know what's good, my G's. Alright, your boy Snow. Thank you. Be sure to rate, like, comment, subscribe, all that. Recommend us to a friend. Tell them to give us about 7 videos. If they don't like us, they can unsubscribe. It's always free, baby. And I'm out. Peace.